What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Reveal and Connect podcast. We're on episode 2, second episode of a brand new podcast, man. It's a different feeling every time. Last week, I shared on a few personal things, but, we're going to dive deeper. This is a very controversial show. Not a very controversial show, but we're just, getting deep into the issues at hand and really... because just like the name of the podcast, we reveal what is hidden in us so we can connect. In connection, we begin to heal. And it's the very essence of what we're about. But I'm talking about that. We're about to reveal, I have a new guest today, and it's one of my family members. And not just one of my family members, one of the main family members who had a very important role in my life and bringing me up ever since I was a small child. And one of the reasons I'm here today in existence. But without further ado, I want to introduce my own dad, Lisiate Tovo. Welcome to the show, Dad. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody.
It's a pleasure to have you here, man. I remember growing up, watching you do your own radio show and being the one that comes and edits it in the room. You would make us come and add the music on the tracks and stuff, and it's amazing to see everything come full circle. And that's what I'm doing now over here, editing stuff and trying to make this podcast work. But it's amazing to see God's hand in everything and how it's coming to fruition. And one thing I want to point out and honor you and just the father you've been my whole life. Not a lot of people have the privilege to have the father in their household and begin to grow with them in the way I've grown with you, and how we've grown to different stages. That's the thing. It's like, the way that I viewed you as a father back when I was a teenager is a different view I view you in the light of today. And it's an incredible thing when father and son is able to have that type of relationship. But getting back to your radio program, man. I'm gonna give you that opportunity to talk a little bit more about that and what you're all about on that.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, son, and it's a great privilege to have this moment with you and whoever is listening. But from the father point of view, I couldn't be more proud of seeing of what God is doing in your life, and to have this moment with you, even though it's kind of challenging on my side of the table. But like the old saying, it is what it is. Going to the radio, I never thought that I'll do a program, even to say anything, especially on the air. It was by in my humble opinion, is by an accident. But there's no such thing as an accident in life.
Yeah,
God has ordered everything according to His purpose and His calling. But the name of the program in Tonga is Le'o e Talau Toa Mga Siasi, and the English name of the program is the Voice of God Proclamation with the churches. And we have a specific theme for the program that we convey or declare on the air. It is the theme. There is a heaven to gain. There's a hell to shun. The only way is Jesus. And where we do our program is just based on the biblical principle. We just start from the book of Genesis to Revelation. And we have 3 approaches on those biblical principles. When the Bible says yes, we say yes. When it said no, we say no. And when it's silent, we went to sleep. And that's it.
Man, that's such a powerful 3 points.
It's just like since I marry your mom, that's the principle. Happy mom, miserable papa.
But you don't look that
And,
miserable, man. You got a
well,
full. You
but the
got
thing is,
you got like a little receding hairline, but you still got some hair
it
left.
is
You
what it
know.
is. It is what it is.
But you look good. You look happy, man.
Thank you.
So no, that's so dope. I remember growing up hearing those things. So when you were saying it, it was just rung in a little what do you call it? It just brought up memories of the different points we grew up on. But it's crazy because it's just like looking at fatherhood, how it's such a important, a
Hmm.
crucial role
Yeah.
in our society today, and how it's very lacking also.
Yeah.
But how crucial it is to for men to be men,
Yeah.
for men not to only to be men, but to be leaders
Yes.
in not only the workspace, but also be in our spiritual walk and in our own households.
Yeah.
And I could say that probably you did a pretty well job at doing that.
Hmm.
And it was all by putting God first. You were very solid in that. At times where we were like, man, I don't know what this is going to be, but you were like, I have faith that God's going to pull through for us. And
Yep.
it set an atmosphere, a safe
Hmm.
atmosphere for
Yeah.
me and my brother to
Yeah.
be able to grow up in seeing and be able to witness the goodness of God in the
Yeah.
way you lived your life.
Hmm.
So that played a big role. But the crazy thing is that although you created that space for us,
Hmm.
you didn't have the same space for you yourself as a kid. And it's
Yeah.
just looking back at that, it just shows the goodness of God in your
Hmm.
story, and the grace of God, and the leading of God, and the fatherhood that is
Yeah.
in God. And it's
Hmm.
just it brings us to light a different testimony. And
Hmm.
I don't want to tell it because it's not mine to tell, but I'm gonna give you the the platform to be able to talk about
Hmm.
where you come from, and where you just started back in the islands.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I came from a home. My dad and my mom first get married, and they have six kids, and I'm the oldest. And I think they married for like 6 years, and they divorced, and so they both remarried.
Mm,
So I, as I counting, because I don't really know about my dad's side of the family, in including my dad.
mm,
But I spend my whole life with my mom and her side of the family. So my dad remarried again, and I think he was married 3 times. His second marriage, I don't think they did have kids,
mhm,
but his third, there's as I don't really fully know, but maybe he have another 4 or 5 kids.
mhm.
So it's already 5 of us, 5 in his third marriage, so it's make us 10. So in my mom's side, she remarried and had 3 kids.
Wow.
So it's make it more the addition to the family. So, but in the same times, I'm the oldest.
Mm.
I'm the oldest, and so started out grow up in the Sestonga, and they
That's
split.
the Church of
Yeah,
Tonga.
free church of Tonga.
Free Church of Tonga.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then they split to the 3 constitution Church
Mm,
of Tonga, and then I went from that to the Wesleyan or the Wesilana, and that's how I end up here in the state.
oh wow.
So I met my wife here, your mom, and have 2 ugly boys. And
Well, I wouldn't agree with that. There's a lot of
well,
opinions out there.
well, but I think if you can still giving me the privilege of being entitled to my own
Uh,
opinion.
but no, I listening to that story, it's such a, it's like it's so crucial to understand that. It's just
Yeah,
especially for when you were younger. You said
yeah,
that your dad and your mom split.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's especially hard when you face that as the oldest.
Mm.
Because how old were you when they first split?
I was 5.
And it's just I remember hearing you tell stories
Yeah.
of what happened back then.
Yeah.
And it was just like looking back, I remember the first, I think no, as early as I can remember, you told us that, and it was just I'd say it was the first time as a kid that I saw you vulnerable, in a vulnerable state, where it was like, I've seen you as the man of the house, but it was like when you talked about those things to us, and there was other topics that you also got vulnerable on, but it was just like you exposed that about yourself, where you're like, I don't come from the a safe environment that I'm trying to, you basically revealed yourself to us at an early age. So it's just like we had a true grasp of who you are, of where you came from, but introduce that aspect to everybody here, and
Yeah.
just the importance of that
I think
that
if,
event.
if I can correctly recall that the day, I remember you guys fought,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of very disappointing, because I just raised my voice, but you guys keep on screaming at each other, and I just voicing a part of me trying to take my ground of emphasizing to you too that I'm still the authority,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing you do, it's unacceptable to me. The only thing it's accepted, you have to go and do it out on the street.
Yeah.
But while it's still under my roof, my voice is still be the authority. And I think, especially your older brother, that I emphasize this to him. If she is not willing to listen to me, get the heck out of the house.
Yeah.
So I know he is not in that age to make that choice, but I was willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
That's the kind of a man that I was, and I'm still am. Because to me, principle to me, especially people to principle, that's where my life is. I'm gonna die on that
No,
principle.
it's funny how you brought that up. It's
Yeah.
just like it was a certain event,
Yeah.
but it's like I said, I couldn't recall what it was, but now I
Yeah.
remember distinctly what it was.
And I
How you brought it up, but it was like
yeah.
the importance of that is
Yeah.
just like you gave us a valuable lesson,
Yeah.
but you also took us back to that time of,
and I recall,
you as a child.
I
And it was
mentioning that I didn't have the
yeah,
privilege of seeing my
but then
father.
it was just how you portrayed it.
Yeah.
And it was like how the judge, and you were so descriptive,
Yeah.
and it was crazy seeing like how we were brought up. It was a different perspective
Yeah.
on how you were brought up, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like it brought reality. It was a reality check for sure, for sure.
And while we're still in that thought, I recall that I can that we and your mom established so early, and even the word stupid is a very, very bad word.
I remember that.
And I still trying to remember which one of you that ran into the house almost out of breath and say, Dad, she said a bad word. And I was waiting what bad words, and then she said stupid, and I kind of look at you, you are stupid, and, or your brother, and then I said, oh, it's okay, and you can, and maybe, and I can tell by the look so disappointing, and I say, do you know why it's okay? Because they are not mine. But if you say it, I'm gonna whip you. and to me, and
I
to
still
me,
remember
because
back then we firmly believed that. We were like,
oh
man,
yeah,
stupid's a bad word.
because for us, our conviction that we have to push the standard high.
Yeah.
Because remember, for one example, another example, when we go to church, and we're just seeing other kids running around. And then we've been told you guys at the house before we leave that if you run around in the church, you might be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when we come home, you guys gonna get it. And it's so hilarious when people say, man, you guys have a nice voice and that and that. But I said to myself, they don't even have a clue.
Oh man, I still remember those times, man. It was like even everybody brings it up. It's just like, I remember when you guys were small, you guys were so strict, and you guys had to sit by your parents and all that. But I'm grateful for it because it showed us so self-control and different principles
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
life. But
Yeah.
even like going with that, it's the perspective of you. It's how your journey, even when how you said you came to America. And how old were you when you came to America?
I was 25.
You were 20. You were 25?
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay, so you were 25
I don't know if
at that time.
I think I was 24.
24.
I think I was 24. I came 80 December 88.
88.
So oh yeah. Yeah.
So what were you? You were still Wesleyan? Wesleyan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're still in that church.
Yeah.
And then what made you stay over here, man? Like what
so I came.
Did you meet mom and you were like, "Oh, I'm staying"?
No. Maybe.
You're supposed to say, "Yeah, I see eyes over there looking at you." Just kidding.
So I came on a tour of a singing group. And we came to Hawaii for a month. And I remember I was already working for the government in the island, and I asked for a leave for a month. And so when we came to Hawaii, in our group, there were already specific people. They already knew they come to stay. But the main people of the group, I can humbly say, including myself, we have to stay put because that's the beginning of the tour of the singing group. We just get started, and seems to be it's very that's the right thing to do, to be continue to expand. And so to make the long story short, I didn't plan to stay. But the last Sunday before we make the trip back on Friday, we went to that last church, and I met my uncle, Pole. He married to the youngest sister, where my mom's sibling, Lute. And he was one of the card for the king by that time.
Yeah.
And the king was in Hawaii, and they happened to be in that, not the king, but the card. I think the king was in the hotel somewhere, but they were free to their free time. And so I met him there, and he gave me the Auntie Lisiate's phone number. And he told me to call her to the main here to the mainland. So I did. So that Sunday night. So I think it was Monday evening. I made the call, and then Andy Lisiate was making a suggestion to me if I can come for a visit for a week. So when I brought it up at our meeting. So the manager of the group told me if they don't pay the ticket for me by Friday, we are going back. I'll have to go back, going back with them. So by that time, I did some yate work on our spare time in Hawaii, and I was so shocked because by that time in my salary in the island, I paid like $34 for 2 weeks. And that's going for a day or two on the yate in Hawaii. And at the weekend, he handed you $300. You thought you're gonna drop dead and going to be with the Lord. So
You're like, I'm a millionaire over
oh yeah,
here,
but
man.
you know what? We with some friends, some relatives, they I met them and they gave me some money, and I think it was almost to $2,000 cash that I carry with me.
Mm.
And by the time the one-way ticket from Hawaii is $99
To where?
to America.
Oh, from
One
Hawaii?
way,
Okay.
one way ticket.
I
So
wish it was like that right now.
oh well, but you know, and then I just told a friend to go buy me a ticket. So she bought me a ticket, and to the surprise of our manager, as we line up to take our flight, I just shook hands with them and said goodbye, and I joining those they heading here to the state. And I just only came for a week, and so the week is not over yet. Why you laugh?
The week is still going.
Yeah, it's still going. It's still going. Yeah, it's still going. You know, the hilarious thing when I got here on Wednesday. So we came straight to Lisiate Tovo, where they still live at Generic, and they were already Pentecostal. And that very night they held their Bible study at the house. I remember, I think maybe there is already a rumor before I got here that I'm coming. And I think Noah heard that I kind of related to him. Noah was single at the time. When we got there, Noah is already at the house, and we were sitting in the kitchen. I had a long talk with Noah, and then the church started coming, and they started the Bible study, and they go through all the ritual of the how they do their service. And I remember part of the service is allowing people to say testimony. And I remember I got up and said some few words. But the thing about that night, I heard the name Lamanu. And I told Lamanu, the first time I heard the name, something about that. Because that's not the first time, because the group director of our singing group, her name is Lamanu. So I'm very familiar with the name. And so, and then I met your mom on Sunday at church. And the rest is history. Even though even though I chased her for like forever. But that's how the thing, it's amazing to see when it's unfold in front of you, and even you don't even have a clue, and it seems like you always hit a wall. And in my humble opinion, when God closed one door, he'll open another.
True.
And even you do some mess and here and there, but if you still learning to trust him, and you'll look back, and the only thing that can give a reason for you to smile, because there's nothing you can see but his hand has been carrying you.
Yeah.
But those things that you live to regret and have a shame of it, you can see your fingerprint is all over those things. And to me, that's how I look at life, and how much more I am full of gratitude and thankful. And that's why so often I use the phrase, it's so undeserving. And I'm not using words or phrase. I really mean it from the depth of my heart. Because from the depth of my heart, because it's unreal. And yet God has been putting things to tell you that you are so unique, and you are the only one. Can he bring that thing for you only? Because God doesn't even share anything with anybody. What it has for you, it's meant for you. It's meant for you. And if you screw, it's your fault. You cannot blame anybody. And I think that's why, to me, I do what I do. And like I often said on the air when I'm doing the program, we are on the air because truth and life matters. Because truth and life has to go hand in hand.
So true.
Oh, yeah.
one of the things that I usually say, especially with the Zoom group that we have, is that truth matters, and truth reveals, but
Yeah.
love heals.
Amen.
And it's just it's one thing to know the truth. It's one thing to know the gospel,
Amen.
know the knowledge and the know-how, but to experience love itself in the author, to experience the author of that text is
Yeah.
love. And it when it works hand in hand, you're on a journey and a
Yeah.
process of getting into the will of God, and a journey towards God, and we're still all on that journey. And looking back at what you were saying, at your life and how you've gotten to where you are now, and you know it's just a blessing to be able to hear and witness, and then just not witness with my own eyes, because I wasn't there. I wasn't even born yet. You haven't even got to that part. But but it's amazing how it came from humble beginnings of Tonga, a little island in the Pacific, and then you made your way to the States, and just how God has just been slowly but surely
Amen.
revealing himself through every
Amen.
decision and
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
slip up. But it's starting from where you left off. You met my mom,
Yeah.
and you were in the Pentecostal church from the Wesleyan. It's not that far off, but there's a
Mhm.
few doctrinal differences, but
Yeah.
I think the fundamentals are still there.
Yeah.
But walk us through that. How was your walk through the process? Because I know changing churches and going
Yeah.
through different denominations, going through that whole, there's craziness to it. There is
Oh yeah.
craziness
Yeah.
to it.
Oh yeah.
There's politics in the church,
Oh
even though
yeah.
we might not want
So
to
true.
admit it.
Yeah.
There is politics in the
Hmm.
church, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like, walk us through that and
Oh
how
yeah. I,
God has navigated you through that.
the, the thing about the evolution of my journey, for how I evolved from one church to another, and I often said, I don't I because most people that I heard in the Pentecostal, they claim they grew up whatever churches they a church they were grew up, they just found the Lord when they come to the Pentecostal.
Mm,
It wasn't. I don't have that story. I knew the Lord as well as the church that I was grew up,
yeah.
and He carried me through. See,
Mm.
because to me, to be a part of the Pentecostal movement, that's the last thing in the world for me to see myself be a part. Because
Mm,
in the island, I have to pass by the Pentecostal church to go to the church that I go to.
mhm.
And I think that's when their worship and praise time, when they sing song and they
Yeah,
shout and they
yeah.
do those things.
Praise
And I,
breaks and
yeah,
shouting.
I always said in my heart, I never verbalizing it, but I said to my
Mhm.
heart, here goes those crazy people. I never ever knew that I'll be the loudest when
Yeah.
when I come to the Pentecost and find myself to be involved in the Pentecost.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to see how God have direct your path and sees the genuine and let me fall back to where I always convey on the program on the Leo Talautua. When you are willing to know, and then the knowing begin, and
Mhm.
that knowing it will be continuing forever through all eternity, because time is an opportunity, eternity is a privilege, and the choice is yours to say yes to start the knowing.
Mm.
Because when you say no, that's when you want to know. You want to, you will. And when you genuinely say yes, that's when the relationship within a fellowship. Let me
Yeah.
repeat: a relationship within a fellowship. And I don't mean to be off subject here, but I want to bring one thing into. That's what happened in marriage. You can have relationship without fellowship. See that? When that happened, that marriage is going down the drain, because that's where the enemy is sitting, and that's where it's reflecting on God's heads. You see, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And the beauty of it, because I think Paul in the book of Corinthians, it says, for the love of Jesus and for the love of God and the grace of Jesus and the fellowship of his Spirit,
come on,
be with you forever. See, that's the uniqueness of just being willing to know. Because there's another, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna save it. Because
No,
remember
good.
that simple song says, everybody ought to know.
Yeah.
See? Everybody ought to know. Know about what? Who Jesus is. The problem nowadays, we all articulate of talking about Jesus. We don't even have a clue who he is. Because we are so articulate of having a head knowledge. But we are so stinking, unfaithful in being lying to ourselves, because we've been allowing the enemies, because he don't even care who you are, how Bible Bible versed like myself. I can just Bible, but you know what? That's not what is so important to me. Yeah. What is important to me that I'm still learning, and I am so humbled by knowing every moment that he's unfolding new things.
Yeah.
But I have to check the new things if it's in line with his written word.
Exactly. No, that's such a valuable point. How you said it comes down to the knowing. You know, a lot of Christians, especially when you're young, you know, you're young in the faith, and you're wondering why you waver. It's because you're stuck in the feeling. You know, you're basing your relationship on God, on the feeling that you feel, but yet you haven't got to the knowing. It's when you get to the knowing that there's confirmation in the knowing. You know, you know how we were talking earlier about manhood. You know what it means to be a man. You have to know what a man is. It comes in the knowing who Jesus is. And in the knowing, he starts to reveal to you. And that goes into a whole nother subject, but we're gonna, you know, due to the subject at hand, we're gonna start, because we can go on to that and go on to a whole nother thing. But that's such a crucial point, because it's like it's the knowing, especially in your journey. You know, going back to the different denominations. It's like, you know, it's not, it's less of the more knowledge, you know, and it's more of like, where is God leading me? You know, it's submission to his will, whether it goes to the, you know, whether it goes to the Pentecostal, whether you go to the Wesleyan, whether you go to the Methodist, although we differ in doctrines, you know, how we view different traditions and, you know, different things, you know, we as long as the fundamentals are there, it's just like, you know, God, Jesus continues to lead us on the path towards himself and his people.
But you know, if I can inject this before we move on, before everybody thought that I am a perfect man, in that journey going from Free Church of Tonga and to the Constitution Free Church of Tonga to Wisiliana, in that journey that I had a daughter. And the thing that it's kind of bittersweet.
This is before meeting. Mom. This is way before.
And to me, and on my part, and I don't know if it's right or not, but I guess it that's one of those things that it might be a stumbling block. I for mom to take me as a single father, in my humble opinion. But that's another subject, because it was heavy. And I'm not pointing my fingers on the enemies, but even unto the way of suicidal that I went through.
Yeah.
It's not a good subject, but you have to eat it up to share it, because
No, that's such a crucial part of your story.
Yeah.
Because to deny it would be to give the enemy a hold on your life. But it's like, even though I love how you brought it up, because it's just it's a very fundamental part of your life, but it's also a moment where God showed you grace.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just it you know, since you brought it up, I want you to take us down that road. Although it was a dark road at one time.
Oh yeah.
You know, the light has been been dwelling in that situation. And it's just just go into how
I think one of the thing I'm going to say before I go into how I have her. I grew up to be bitter toward my dad because of the abuse, to be abused, of being a abusive husband. And I put every blame on my dad, and I say, you see how awful you are as a father. You not only did you beat our mom, but you left and da 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 da.
So there was a bitterness that you held towards him, for sure.
And you know, and I'm not making excuses. From my heart of heart, I was planning to marry the mom. But the only one thing was stopping from that, because I kind of a person that I don't think that a wife will have to come and face all those garbage that your family is viewing her. See, because you know, I don't see it myself, but my family, they kind of have a high view of what kind of a woman that I'm supposed to marry, and
especially since you were the oldest.
And that's where I come from. But you know, but here's the thing. It kind of spit on my face if anybody brought it up in front of me that I'm the oldest, because to me it's meaningless to me.
Yeah.
Because my whole life,
especially the name behind it.
You know,
the Tovo name.
I hate it. I believe you me. I'd rather change my name, but the only thing that I knew, I can't. Tovo, and especially I cannot deny that I'm the oldest, but to me, I still dwelled in the question, in that one question: why? Why they left and left us hanging? See, and when I found out, and I told the mother, if she can stick around, we're gonna make it. See, because I don't want her to grow up just like me without a father. So, and then the trip happened to come
trip to the United States.
Yes, yes. So, and
just like that, history. It wasn't planned.
Yeah,
to stay here. It was just like, it's just how it happened. But I could see how the guilt.
Oh boy, do you know what the thing is? The thing is, I was bombarded, because it seems like that I want to go forward, but I make 3 steps backward and 1 forward, and then where the suicidal showed up.
Yeah,
because
that's the thing about shame and guilt.
Oh yeah,
it can take you down
because the enemy keep on saying, "Look at you, you keep on rah rah rah.
You over here preaching,
you are so loud,
over here doing radio, but
and look at your daughter. You know that the loneliest day of the year is Father's Day.
Yeah,
to me. Sometimes I often get up in the car and drive around.
Yeah,
just to. And I remember so often I wrote a letter
to her,
and I wasn't be able to send it.
Wow.
And but you know, to where we at right now, it's amazing. We haven't we haven't look face to face on the a phone, but we still are exchanging
Mm.
texting.
Messages in
Yeah,
Messenger.
and you know the thing that I'm so appreciated it that she really built a relationship with mom.
Yeah.
It meant a lot to me because she never asked me for anything, but she did to mom, to mommy.
Yeah.
When she needs something, she asked, and it's meant a lot to me because
Mm.
that I want the boundary to be honored,
Yeah.
but the principle to be still played.
You know,
And
it's
I,
like I remember at a young age the because I mentioned the vulnerableness that you had with
oh
sharing your
yeah,
story with your dad.
mm-hmm,
The first time I seen you cry was when we were young. We were really young. I think we were still at Calvary Christian. We were still in elementary.
mm-hmm,
And I remember we were sitting on the bed, and then you shared you know how we used to have like you remember those old recording of the cassette recordings we had of
yeah,
us singing. It
yeah,
was one of those moments. But I remember you shared with us that our sister
yeah,
existed, and we were young, and then you told the story of how it happened.
yeah,
And you didn't come up with a fake story.
yeah.
You literally told us straight up what happened. And then the tears came from your face. And then I remember I was like, because one of the things that especially men in our culture don't see is the vulnerableness of their father,
Yep.
to be real, not just be real in a sense that they tell you the truth, but to
Yeah.
be real vulnerably, you know
Yep.
and emotionally. And
Yeah.
we had the privilege of seeing that, firsthand, and just seeing it in how you did that for
Yeah.
us, and it was a privilege, because now we didn't have no expectations of you being a superhero. You said that early.
I
You said
don't.
that early,
Yeah.
where we viewed you as a flawed man, but we also viewed you as a godly man, where the what you
Mm,
call the standard was set,
yeah.
where we could look back on that for me, I could look back on that memory
Yep.
and be like, you know what, even though I run into issues,
Mm,
even though I may fall at certain points, I know that I
yeah.
have a God to run back to.
Amen.
And it's like, it's so crucial to for a father to show that to their kids at an early age like that. Because
Yeah.
I remember that, because I it was shocking, because I
Yeah.
was a little kid,
Hmm.
to see the strongest person in our family be vulnerable like that. But then I was like, I what you call I connected it
Mm.
to manhood,
Oh.
to what a man is supposed to be. So
Mm.
it's like, looking back now, it was such a crucial moment
Oh.
in my life, where it showed me that being vulnerable is not something that is to be looked down upon, but it's like, it's also a manly thing. It's a godly thing. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
woman thing, a man thing. It's a
Yeah.
godly thing to be vulnerable.
I think, Vita, if I can just inject a thought on that,
Hmm.
because I think the reason for the tears because it was so painful to me
Yeah.
to see that I didn't have a privilege to do my part as a father. To She's supposed to be sitting with you guys,
No, I remember you said
and
that. You
and
said
to
that
me,
exact thing.
yeah, it just kind of to me, I just kind of cannot stand and seeing it's my it's on my part
Yeah.
that I failed that because to me and I think to me that's where the biblical principle come into work
Yeah.
and
You
to
know, what's
expose
the beautiful thing
myself.
is
Yeah.
that, like, with you, how you were with us,
Mhm.
it wasn't that, there's certain I feel like in anybody's whether they have a father in their life or a father figure, they get to certain points where there are emotional uh emotional events that happen, whether it's a funeral,
Yeah.
whether it's something that happens that
Yeah.
we
Yep.
become automatically emotional.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think the thing that you were at that moment, you were intentionally
Yeah.
emotional.
Yep.
And the intentionality in your life has been glowing ever since
Yeah.
we're little. You're very intentional with the time that you give, and I think that you showed that to us at an early age, and you
Yeah.
never changed that.
And I
And I
think
think
it,
that was so crucial to you being as a
yeah.
father to us.
Yeah. And to me as a father, and and I don't it to me it's so humbling to sit here and hear from you. But I hope there might be someone is listening, because I'm not look at myself as that hero. I just only look at
Mhm.
myself as a simple person, just take the responsibility to the best that I know of,
Yeah.
because my circumstances doesn't even have given me a right to point my finger and put a blame on that.
Mm.
Because I cannot speak for my dad, and if whatever the success or failure my dad, it doesn't have any effect on me, in my humble opinion. I have to step up and be by my own self.
Yeah.
And when I come and know the moment that your mom is have willing to be a part of my life, that's the best thing that I can see that ever happened to me beside my salvation.
Mm.
Because that's when, to me, I automatically see myself of what I needed to do.
Mm.
Because like I often, and I cannot, I'm tired of being sharing that, because when I knew that mommy want to marry me, and especially when I went to your uncles and asked for the privilege of letting their sister to be my wife, and as I walk out from that duplex, it's so kind of long walk from the duplex to Lisiate house, because I said to myself, they must be crazy, because to say yes to me, because I don't even have a job, and I don't even have a
Yeah.
steady place to live. But I think, as we sit back, and you know what is going on now, everything is go crazy. We have to hurry up and pack all the stuff here in the house, and because the buyer can walk in and kick us out. But the thing, to witnessing the faithfulness
Yeah.
of the reason for us for being, I think that's 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 why, to me, I'm so pumped up to just open my mouth and talk with anybody, if they can
Mm.
give me a moment to just tell them that I'm just another beggar, just coming to tell the other beggar who the bread and where the bread is.
Exactly.
And anyway, my goodness, I'll have
Exactly.
to drink some water so that I can sip it.
No, that's such a crucial point. It's just like, especially at the journey that you have been on, where God has you now, it's just like, how can you shut up? It's just like you have a
So true.
duty.
So
You have a
true.
duty
Yeah.
to profess what God has brought you from, and where he's, not as much as where he's leading, because at this point you're like, hey, I
Yeah.
trust you. You have done so
And,
much in my life where I
and
can just
but
look back.
but Vita, my thing, I just have to say to myself, I haven't seen a thing,
Mm.
and I'll never ever,
What's that?
because
What's that thing? It says, eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard.
exactly. But when my eyes is only fixed on him,
Mm.
and that's enough for me. See, to me, I am in a time of my life that I can look at the Bible and look at those people as they experiencing the God, see, that forever presence in that time of history.
Yeah.
And to sit here and witnessing their story, that it's not only a story that happened to them way back, but I'm sitting here, it's happened to me. My goodness.
I always
Because
say the best story is to tell, especially when we're explaining the gospel, is our own stories. You know what God has brought us from, and two, you know, it's like it did. The Bible is a story of different of God's goodness, but then also we have our own stories. You know, as far as us learning the things in the Bible and reading, you know, we get to share a little bit of God, that what God is revealing in ourselves personally, and we get to share that with other people. And that's what makes it beautiful. The relationship with God makes it beautiful, is that we're all unique. We have our own parts.
Amen.
And God reveals himself to us in very unique ways. And when we begin to connect with each other, we see the goodness of God in the different attributes that he in the uniqueness that he grants each person.
Amen.
But it's just that's what gets me excited to talk to new people, you know, and share the word, is because not only we get to bless them, but they bless us with
Amen.
what they're going through. And it's just community, man, connection, just like the name of the podcast. It's just reveal and connect. You know, we can't connect if you're not willing to reveal and your true self.
Amen.
And it's just like how we are now, you know. We couldn't have gotten to where we are now in having these conversations if there was not no give, you know, no revealing that took place at a certain point. You know, I feel like you did a lot of revealing in your life, you know, as far as where God has brought you from. But for me, you know, the last episode, I did a lot of revealing. It was but it took a lot of time. It was a journey to get over that. But now that, you know, we all live in the light, we get to connect and grow. And, you know, our relationship now as father and son is a different dynamic now. It's way different. It's just like we talk about subjects that are very controversial. We can be upfront about things, and I think that's how it should be. Not saying that we have a standard for fatherhood and sonship. It's just, you know, we're real. We're real about where we're at.
Do you know, with that the thing that I treasure, that we have to agree to disagree.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it to me. We heated up the argument, but at the end of the day, it's not about winning the debate.
No, it's about relationship.
It's just to build up the relationship, because in my humble opinion, if I have to give up for the sake of the relationship, I'll throw the towel.
Yeah.
But you know me. If I want to stick with my gun, I stick with my gun. But for the sake of relationship, and you know, and beside that, the thing is thrilling my heart, because I often said to me, if you two come below of where I raise you guys, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
See that? But if you guys push up to a higher level, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because because remember, as men, we are, as a father, we are the reflection of God.
Say that again.
We are the reflection of God. Because how can you believe in God that you don't see? If you don't see what I'm saying to you, it has to come and line up with what I do. That's why I often said my toughest part as a father is trying to live what I say in front of you guys. and I have to admit, I didn't do a good job on that.
But it's just like what you just said. I couldn't have not said it any better. It's just like, especially for men in the household, for children to look up, it's so crucial for men to be the image bearers of God.
Oh boy.
because as children, we know who God is. When you tell us, as a perspective from a child, it's just like when we look and see, everyone talking about God, if nobody's showing us what God is supposed to look like,
Yeah.
and we don't have anything to match it, then when we
Yeah.
grow up, we're only listening to words. We haven't experienced nothing. And
And
it's like, that's what, for my point of view, it's just like, that's what happened with me. I've heard, not only I've heard the gospel, I
yeah.
went to a Christian school, we,
Yeah.
we woke up, we woke up a Bible, we
Praying,
slept Bible, we
praying,
ate
praying in the house,
Bible.
praying in the car.
Yeah, I'm
Praying, go to
surprised we
school,
didn't.
praying, coming from
I'm
school.
especially surprised we didn't learn Aramaic and Greek. But no, it's just like that wasn't the catalyst for what brought me back to God. It was the very faithfulness of God and seeing Him at work in you guys' lives.
Yeah.
And it was like, if He can do that for them, and how faithful they've been to Him. What it brought back the verse, taste and see that the Lord is good.
Goodness. Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm willing to give it a taste. And then now it's just like, I have peace. It's like there's when you decide to go with God, there's a peace that's beyond your understanding. But it's also brings everything into the light of what it should be. Because I feel like I remember before I didn't feel comfortable having these type of conversations, because it got to a certain point. It wasn't due to me looking at culture and like, I'm not supposed to talk about this or like this with my dad. But really, it was me not taking accountability for what I was trying to.
So true. So true.
So it's like my thing to everybody listening is that if you want to create the narrative, if you want to create an environment of safety in your household, start with yourself. What are you hiding?
Be
what
vulnerable
are you
and
not to, what,
be
what
vulnerable
are you not willing
and
to
allow
bring
God
to the
in.
table?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Be vulnerable
that's
and
one
give
thing
God a sign to help.
I told the Zoom group we're in. I was like, it's cool that we bring the issues to front, but don't relate to our issues. Our issues are not here to just bask in the sun. We're here to heal issues and transform and challenge each other. And that's where, where our relationship is. I feel like, I bring things up, but then you challenge me in a different way where I'm like, okay, all right, it's not just this and that, but it's like, put action to your words. But we all should have those type of environments. And if you don't, for those that are listening who don't have a safe space where you're able to have people around you that are able to lift you up in these in a safe way, pray to God, go to your local church. There's no excuse.
God is always have a way.
God
is always have a way.
Don't underestimate
regardless.
It's like, just say a simple prayer like, hey, if you're willing,
amen,
if you are wholeheartedly just sold out for God, who
if you
call, you really gonna think God gonna leave you?
If you call, He'll answer. If you knock, He'll open.
Knock and the door shall be open.
True.
And it's just like it's all up to us, especially if you're a man. If you're a man out there, shout out to the ladies out there if you're listening. You guys are doing your part. I see a lot of strong ladies of God, women of God in the church. But I'm talking to the men out here. We need to step it up. Not just step it up, but be accountable to ourselves. Look at deep down and bring the issues up that we're not willing to take. We have a lot of hurt in our culture.
So true.
We have a lot of traumas, and this, it might have not been your fault. Just like you, Dad. Like in your story, it might have not been your fault, but you didn't let that stop you. You took accountability of what you can control. And it's just, that's all it's about, just creating the environment, creating the narrative, taking control and giving it to God and letting Him transform your story into a testimony. And it's a beautiful thing. But as far as the show's going, it's been great having you here, Dad. I look forward to future episodes with you where we discuss
but Vida, if you can still have a minute, I can add one more, because I just said a thing about regarding the father, but I have to emphasize the husband part.
Mm.
because the thing is, it's not
Shout
the
out to all the husbands
responsibility.
out there.
Yeah, because the thing is, like I often emphasize, is that the man is for the family
Mm.
and the woman is for the home.
Exactly.
The main issue of today is because the man is so confused and they want to be woman.
Mm.
And now women, they are so confused too. They want to be men. But the thing is, let's go back to the beginning. And man has to be man, and woman and has to be woman. And then the harmony will bring in
Mm-hmm.
to bring the meaning. Because now the family has no meaning nowadays.
Yeah.
And the reason is there is no man. And I brought up the idea of me being a husband because before, for you to be a father, for goodness sake, you have to be a husband first.
Ooh.
Let me repeat.
Say that again.
Before that you become a father, for God's sake, you have to become a husband first.
Let me take it a little deeper. One more. If before you become a husband, you have to become a man first.
but before you become a man, your dad has to step up and be a father.
Oh, you just brought it full circle. Okay, all right. It all starts at home at the end of the day.
And so in my case,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was not in the picture, but it doesn't even give me an excuse to step up to the plate and do the best I can. Whatever that small thing that I had to start with, go back to what I said at the beginning, biblical principle. It's just a baby step. Don't try to be like in a Bible
Professional athlete,
Oh yeah, just
apologetics, apologist.
I often if I can pick what the very important phrase that I ever said in our family,
Mm-hmm.
I can sum it up, and maybe I'm not really verbalizing it, but that's how I just look at it, because this phrase, as much as I love you guys, but I cannot take you with me to heaven.
Mm.
But if you get to heaven and I am not there, it's really speak volume of who I was.
Wow.
I was a phony. So I'm having saying that to say this. Just please go look at the mirror. Just look at the mirror. And if you don't like what you see, you need to call for help. 911 is the first, is the good start. Remember, I'm not saying 911 here. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about Psalm 91 verse 1. Go read it yourself. I'm not quoting it, because if I have to quote it, I have to bill you. And before I bill you, I'll have to whip you too.
Nah, that's a good point.
Anyway,
it's a very good point, because a lot of people out here trying to be things that they're not. They think that titles are gonna make them, having a title is gonna make them automatically assume the position, that the title holds and the responsibility the title holds. But that's not how it works. You have to prove yourself. You have to do the work of being a better person, becoming a man, like the steps that we mentioned. Learn how to be a man. If you don't have somebody who imitated that, who modeled it, God is the ultimate source. What does it mean to be a man? It means to glorify God. It literally, that's the meaning. A woman. What is a woman? In terms of the Bible, it's literally our whole essence is to glorify God. God gives meaning. God gives identity. And without him in the home, without him anywhere, we start to lose the identity and the truth behind each meaning. And I think that's what's wrong with society today, is that we taking God out of everything. So everything means nothing and everything means something.
So true.
And it's confusing.
Yeah.
But once we place God back in where he's supposed to be,
amen,
in the meaning of everything, then we start to see the roles we're supposed to play.
Yeah.
Not in a misogynistic way, not in all these terms we have for different ways to get offended. No, not in those ways, but in a wholesome way, that things were designed to be, and that when they're in their proper function, society and families become more whole. Amen. And truth starts to transform people, and love starts going back to where it should be. Amen. In the family and in the church. And before we go even further into different subjects, we'll bring it back and just say, Dad, it's a privilege to have you here. And I know that we're going to have future episodes on different subjects.
This is my last. This is my last.
So in order to get him back on here, go, if you have a chance when he starts the program, go check out his program. If you guys have any older elders, or your parents are Tongan and they will not, they need a show. They know they need some truth in their lives, and less religion. Point them towards the program. We're here to build and not knock down, but we're also here to grow. We're not here for comfort.
Amen.
And that's what this show is about too. It's about peace, but nobody said it's going to be comfortable. So yeah, I'm grateful to have you here, Dad. This was a long conversation, but it was a well-needed one.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, I'm super grateful. And tune in next time. If you like this episode, go ahead and share, subscribe wherever this is at. I don't know if this is going to be on Apple Podcasts yet. By the time I get this done, I already signed up, but I got to figure out the whole sign up sheet and everything. It's a whole assignment. But I'm super grateful to have y'all here, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks,
Peace
everyone
out.